Hello, you're listening to ReedyGeeks, a Walt Disney World podcast. My name is Andrew, and I'm joined today by Constance Hatchaway's new husband, Sean.
Did we talk about that?
No, we
No.
haven't, but we're going to talk about it this time.
Okay. Not your best work.
No.
No.
Can you name one that is his best work?
Emperor Palpatine's biographer was good.
I don't even remember that one.
That was a good one. That was a good one.
Oh, yeah, because one man's dream, the
Yes.
Emperor's dream.
one Emperor's dream.
Oh, okay.
And we are joined today by the mansion's resident estate attorney, JJ.
I mean, if they've got some property line disputes or something, I at least know a guy.
Yeah, and you work with all their wills and all their trusts. 999 wills.
This is a very lucrative business to have processed 999 last will and testaments.
and I heard you accept Dole Whips as payment.
It's partial payment plan.
In today's episode, we continue our attraction spotlight series by diving deeper into the Haunted Mansion. We know you're dying to know more.
Boo this man.
Welcome back, foolish mortals. Last time, we explored the twisted development of Disneyland's Haunted Mansion. In this episode, the doors finally creak open. We'll head around the world to the other haunted mansions, board our doom buggies, and go through the finished attraction room by room. From the stretching room to the swinging wake, we're dying to tell the story of the mansion that finally found its frightful voice.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to this.
Originally, the Haunted Mansion didn't really have a voice, right? It was.
Well, yeah, we talked a lot about that last week. Yeah.
The tale of like two different haunted mansions. What was it going to be?
I mean, I know maybe we'll find out a little more today, but I think it ended up pretty good. We ended up in a pretty good place.
If we're doing the attraction spotlight series on it, it must be pretty good for us, right?
Yeah, it's okay.
So I'm going to start with providing us with some little background information on the Haunted Mansion at the Magic Kingdom. And then later on in the episode, Sean is going to take us to the other haunted mansions, Disneyland and other ones, and talk about its legacy.
How'd you know that?
How did I know you were going to do that?
Yeah, did you look at my notes?
Well, I think we planned this. There's a lot of differences, right?
There are, and we're going to hear about them.
Oh, I can't wait. All right, but first, this is a Disney World podcast, so we'll start with the Magic Kingdom. The decision to bring the Haunted Mansion to Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom was a no-brainer because of how successful it was at Disneyland. Thank goodness, though, that Magic Kingdom didn't have to wait as long as people in Disneyland had to wait for their Haunted Mansion. The Magic Kingdom's version was one of the opening day attractions on October 1st, 1971. And during the production of the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland, they decided to make duplicates of everything in the mansion. So that's why Walt Disney World's version was able to be done so quickly. It's because they had already planned on bringing it there, so they just made doubles of everything when they were making Disneyland's version.
Smart.
It is, yeah. The Magic Kingdom version is located in Liberty Square, and we talked about this last week, how there's no
New
Orleans.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we did. We said, conceivably a lot of the people that are going to Walt Disney World probably have been to New Orleans.
Right. And that's one of the reasons why Walt wanted to have the New Orleans in Disneyland, was because a lot of the people in California had never been to New Orleans. And that's a very unique opportunity for someone to go to Disneyland and see that type of architecture, that type of culture, very much different than California's. So in the Magic Kingdom, it's located in Liberty Square. And this is an area, if you're not familiar with it, it's a colonial American town set during the American Revolutionary War. So because of that, they had to change the outside of the Haunted Mansion, what it looked like. So it was designed to look like a Dutch Gothic manor and more of a northeastern style house rather than the antebellum style Disneyland mansion. The Magic Kingdom's building is larger. It's 50,000 square feet compared to Disneyland's 40,000 square feet, and it's not restricted by the railroad berm. The ride duration is about 2 minutes longer than Disneyland's version as well. It does feature additional scenes, and we're going to point that out as we go through the ride. You know, which scenes are not in the Disneyland version but are in the Disney World. Something I found interesting, and I didn't really realize this until doing the research for the show, that when you enter the Magic Kingdom's Haunted Mansion, you're entering from the basement. It's like a side entrance, supposed to be like a service entrance rather than the front door.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that makes sense location-wise of like how you're walking up to the building. Like, you're not walking in the front doors like you do at like Tower of Terror for Disney World people. You know, you walk right in the front door of the Tower of Terror and then you're in the lobby.
Yeah, and Disneyland's version, you go through the front door.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, we're a Disney World podcast, so I was trying to relate it to something in the world that people would know.
Right. We talked about this on the last week's episode as well, that the stretching room is not an actual elevator like it is in Disneyland. Instead, the ceiling is rising, and we'll get into that as we go through. But those are just some of the differences there between the Magic Kingdom and Disneyland. Paul Frees is the voice of the ghost host, and he recorded some additional voiceovers for the Magic Kingdom ride, you know, because of the extra show scenes. So that's what was kind of nice about this ride for Disney, is that it was already done. You know, once they created it for Disneyland, it's essentially done for Disney World too. They've made extras, duplicates of all of the items in the mansion, and they're going to use the same ghost host
Dialogue
spiel.
Yeah,
they just had to add a couple more scenes to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is something that is kind of a theme park staple, is cloned rides, as in the Six Flags chain does this all the time. You know, your local Six Flags probably has a Batman the Ride that is a leg hanging B&M inverted roller coaster. You know, it's very effective because you pay a lot for the ride to be designed, and then if you can copy and paste it, it leads to a lot of savings.
Right. Okay. So let's start. Let's start our journey from outside of the Haunted Mansion, where you really get the eerie atmosphere of the mansion as you're walking up there. How do you guys feel about the Gothic style Haunted Mansion of Magic Kingdom versus Disneyland's antebellum mansion?
I think the Haunted Mansion in Magic Kingdom looks spookier.
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
It looks like it's straight out of a haunted house. The almost like the plantation style house that they have in Disneyland. Spookier for different reasons, but you know, it doesn't really. I don't think it evokes like fear and spooky and ghosts.
No, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful home, right? You look at the one in Disneyland, and you go, "That's a beautiful home," and you look at the one in Disney World, and you say,
"That's a haunted
beautiful
mansion.
home," but something's going on there.
Yeah.
It always reminds me of season 2 of American Horror Story, where they Asylum.
Mm.
I always think of that.
Isn't the first season of that show basically one giant haunted house?
Yeah.
So I would
in California.
Of American Horror Story, the whole first season is just like a haunted house. Yeah.
I
think.
Yeah. But I guess in 2, Disneyland's version of Haunted Mansion would be like the season of the witches from American Horror Story. They're in the South in a very similar style house.
This is out of my wheelhouse.
I watched almost none of that show. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Same.
No. I got like a couple
loved
episodes
it.
into the first season. I was like, this is dumb.
It was
Not for me.
I just knew it wasn't for me. I don't think I ever even watched an episode.
Oh wow.
Yeah. They still make
okay.
it?
So that completely went over.
You know, if you're a big ReedyGeeks and American Horror Story fan, let Andrew know if his take is right or not.
Okay, so you enter into the grounds, and the queue is going to start in Liberty Square. A lot of times the queue is outside of the official grounds, beyond the gates of the Haunted Mansion. But as you approach the building, there is a weeping cypress tree that is on the grounds there that was relocated from Tomorrowland. And it does, like, it's very an eerie tree, looking like it's crying, like it's weeping.
I don't think I've ever noticed this before.
No?
I've noticed a spooky tree.
So you have a hearse there that is it's a dark hearse, and it's also being pulled by an invisible horse. There's also a pet cemetery to the right side, on the right side of the Haunted Mansion building. You pass it when you are leaving the ride, and they have some interesting nods to former rides, like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. There's a Mr. Toad in the back of the pet cemetery.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's get into the queue, because the queue was really improved in 2011. They made it a pretty interactive queue area. Because before 2011, it was one of the most boring queues.
Yeah.
You were outside. There wasn't even any shade for the longest time. And then around 2011, they put in all those games that you could play inside the queue, and they added shade, made it a lot better. So some of the things they added were tributes to different Imagineers. Like, for example, there's tombstones for Imagineers Mark Davis and Claude Coates, Brother Claude and Grandpa Mark. Yale Gracie, they call him Master Gracie on his tombstone. There's also a murder mystery story in the queue, the Dread Family Murder Mystery. It includes 5 busts that represent the 6 members of the Dread family, the supposed owners of the mansion. Guests can read the accompanying plaques to try to solve the murder mystery of how the family killed each other for their wealth.
You gotta love little family feud, right?
Yeah. Well, and so that's like so good of Disney too, because just passing that by, you're not going to really know that's a murder mystery. It's kind of it's for the people that go there all the time, right? And are really investigating every aspect of the ride.
Yeah, they're like trying to find all the Easter eggs and the little extra details, which Disney has always excelled at.
Yeah. There's a lot of interactive aspects of the queue too. Like there's a composer crypt. It's an interactive musical and has interactive musical instruments on it. And so every time you press a different instrument, it makes a different sound. And it's actually a rendition of the Grim Grinning Ghost, the song of the Haunted Mansion. They have some reoccurring characters in the queue, like a raven, a one-eyed cat. These were supposed to be characters in the Haunted Mansion that got cut when they were making it. So it's kind of another nod to the fact that no good idea dies at Disney. And the wedding ring, off camera, JJ, you were mentioning about the bride and how the bride is part of the queue out there.
Oh yeah. We're talking about the bride a little bit. Yeah.
So they have a wedding ring that's embedded into the ground on the queue. So next time that you're in the Haunted Mansion queue, try to look for it. It's the size of a wedding ring.
I have seen this.
And it's supposed to be that Constance Hatchaway threw it from the attic after murdering one of her husbands, and it landed there, and it's stuck there now.
I didn't know that's what the backstory was, but
everything's got a backstory, right?
Because you got a wonderful imagination.
Okay, so let's go through the doors into the actual ride.
Into the air conditioning.
Into the air conditioning, yes.
Yes, everyone's very relieved at this point of the ride.
So you pass cast members that are dressed as butlers or maids, and they welcome you inside the haunted house. Interesting costumes for the cast members. I'm trying to think, are they the same costumes for all of Liberty Square? Or are they
No,
slightly
they're
different?
These are
They are different?
spookier. There's
Yeah.
with the stripes.
Right, okay.
They're definitely way spookier.
So you go into the first room, and you're pushed close to a fireplace, and then one of two doors is going to open up for you, and that's going to lead you into the stretching room, into the portrait chamber. And guests are led into the octagon room with paintings on the wall, and guests are encouraged to move into the center, the dead center of the room.
Love a pun.
The doors close. Yes.
Thanks, Mark Davis.
The doors close, sealing them inside, and the ghost host taunts you that there's no windows, no doors to escape through. The chamber begins to stretch, and the portraits extend, revealing their subjects' fates. In Disneyland, this is the world's largest elevator, lowering guests 18 and a half feet under to get under the railroad tracks. But in the Magic Kingdom, it's not an elevator. The ceiling is just going up.
Is this haunted room actually stretching?
During the spiel, the ghost host reveals his fate of how he got out of the room, and that's by hanging himself from a noose, which is when the lights go out, you see him hanging up above you. There's thunder that fills the room. You hear a really large scream, and then all of a sudden, you hear his body coming down, falling onto the ground. So that's pretty scary for Disney.
It's dark.
Yes, it's definitely very scary. But you know what? It's setting the tone that it is the spooky ride. It has some gags all going before it, so it's almost like a misdirect where you think it's going to be a silly ride and then it becomes serious.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just always thought I was going to get hit by something when I was younger.
Yeah, lightning was always a scary premise, right? Like anytime you heard lightning in a weird context, it was a jarring experience when you were a kid.
Circling back quickly to the cast members, I always assumed that they were supposed to be kind of like when you're in the the Tower of Terror. It's they're like the workers.
They're like the maids and the
right. The Haunted Mansion
butlers
cast members
of
are
the
like
mansion.
the help basically at the mansion,
Maybe that's why you're also going through
like a
the
service
side
entrance.
Yeah, the service entrance. So after the stretching room, you go into a hallway that's going to lead you to the Doom buggies where you're going to get on the ride. I actually think this might be my least favorite place in Walt Disney World. This hallway, you know how it funnels.
Because
you're in a huge group and it funnels into a single line.
And anyone who's been on the Haunted Mansion knows where in the room to go because they know where the wall is going to open. So there's always like a mad cluster to get around that one part of the wall where like it's either a red or a green light that you can see where the wall's going to open, and people just bum rush and into that tiny little hallway. Yeah, it just bottlenecks really, really, really fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, I think there are worse places in Disney World than that hallway because that
Like
hallway
the Frozen
is air
ride.
conditioned. No, or like waiting online for Slinky Dog Dash with no shade.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Actually, outside of that own place when you're not in the shade, previous like 10 minutes before when you were like, oh, this is a weird room and I feel claustrophobic, but at least it's nice in here.
Yeah, the anxiety though of like we're going to a single line and everyone's holding on to the people that they're with and like trying to like not break the chain and
staying together is tough.
Yeah. So we board our Doom buggies, which are an Omni mover system, and we get ready. We don't have to pull down on the handlebars because he does it for us. The ghost host lowers the bar for you.
Very gentlemanly thing to do.
Yeah. So the first hallway is the portrait hallway, the portrait gallery. These portraits in Magic Kingdom, in Magic Kingdom, these portraits are on the ride, but in Disneyland, they're in that hallway after the stretching room before your Doom buggies. And they are flashing with lightning and changing. The portraits change as there's lightning that's flashing in the background. Our next room is the library. And this scene is actually exclusive to Magic Kingdom and Tokyo Disneyland, too. The room is filled with hundreds of books, some appearing to be pulled from the shelves. There's a book ladder that slides by itself. Marble busts of ghost riders, in quotes, ghost riders, stare and follow you as you pass along. So this was a neat trick done by the Imagineers of how the busts of the ghost riders are constantly looking at you while you go by.
Yeah.
It's cool that it follows you.
Yeah. The next room is the music room. Guests move on into the music room after the library. So there's a piano with an invisible man that's playing it. And he's playing a sinister version of Grim Grinning Ghost as well. So the next room you go into is the Endless Staircase room. And this room I call the Harry Potter room because it looks like staircases going in all directions. And that scene in Harry Potter when they're on the staircase, but the staircase move and they go to different places.
Yeah, and that obviously, Yale Gracie was a big fan of Harry Potter series.
Yeah, back in the 60s.
Yeah, a full like 35 years before the books came out.
Yeah. In 2007, when they updated the Haunted Mansion, they added the footsteps. So there's like little footsteps that you see on the staircases, especially like right above you, the staircases that are upside down.
Yes.
There's something interesting too, is that all of the ghosts that you supposedly are encountering so far are all invisible to you. Right. And we're going to talk about why that is in just a moment. But we haven't actually seen any ghosts yet.
Right.
So from the Endless Staircase, we go into the Endless Hallway where you look down past a long hallway and there is a candlestick that is hovering down the hallway. And just recently, they added the Hatbox Ghost here.
Oh, yes, the highly contested Hatbox Ghost.
So now
I really like that trick, and I'm glad it's in both places.
People are upset about where it is because in the story of the Haunted Mansion, you're not supposed to be able to see any of the
ghosts yet. Right.
Yeah.
Tell those people to get a grip.
They created all this backstory for a reason, Sean.
My assumption was that the Hatbox Ghost just it almost looks too new to get like kind of thrown. It's almost like when you're watching when they redid the Star Wars movies in the 90s and some of like the new effects just look really, really jarring next to or within like the 70s and 80s original movies. And I think that the Hatbox Ghost is kind of like, it just looks a little too new for being in such an old attraction.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with it though.
I think it is a cool effect, but I completely agree with you. It's like the paint's a little too good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll weather over time.
Yeah. So if you don't know this effect here is that it's a ghost and he's holding a hat box or, a box you put your hats in. I mean, do we have hat boxes anymore?
Well, we don't really wear hats like that. It would be for like a top hat or something.
Yeah.
Oh, for a big top hat. Yeah. So his face disappears and reappears inside the box. and then it disappears in the box and reappears on his face.
Thanks to science.
Okay, so after our Hatbox ghost, we enter the conservatory. And the conservatory just really contains a coffin where the guy inside the coffin is trying to desperately get out. This is not a ghost, though. He's just a dead body, I guess, or maybe it's it's an alive person, but it's not. I don't think it's supposed to be a ghost because you see it.
It could be a zombie.
Yeah, it must be a zombie.
Yeah. The next room is the corridor of doors. So going down this door or going down this corridor, you have doors on your left and right, and they are all knocking, and they're all doing something creepy. Some of them are bulging out, like there's someone trying to get out of the door. The next room has the grandfather clock in it, and your doom buggy will be moved to face the grandfather clock. The grandfather clock is striking 13, and an eerie shadow of a hand passes by over the clock. Okay, and now we come to the room where things start to get a little bit lighter, the seance room. This is Madame Leota, and she's floating inside a crystal ball, and she's trying to call the spirits of the haunted mansion to appear before us.
So I actually think this is the scariest part of the thing, of the beginning part. A lot of it, because some of it is just like, this is an empty room and makes this weird noise. And then, especially when we were younger and the Hatbox ghost wasn't there, and the you go, oh, that's weird, that's this, and then all of a sudden with someone's like kind of opening and revealing the story to you, you're like, what spooky thing is going to happen now that we can see these ghosts?
Yeah, that's a good point. I do think, though, in one of the more recent updates, they kind of ruined it by having the instruments behind you like hovering, and they're all like multicolored, and so it doesn't really look like it's serious. It looks a little more cartoonish now, I feel like.
Oh, because of the fluorescent glow of the, yeah.
Yeah, but I do like Madame Leota and how she now hovers and it looks like she's floating. She was always on a table in the previous versions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Madame Leota calls all the spirits of the haunted mansion, and that's why when you go into the next room, the ballroom, you see all of the ghosts in the ballroom dancing, having dinner. One ghost is blowing out a birthday cake.
Yep.
And this is using the Pepper's Ghost effect. Now, I don't really understand how the Pepper's Ghost effect works. Do either of you guys?
It's essentially a trick that's played with mirrors, and then what they do to achieve this is you're reflecting an image at a 45-degree angle. So something is around the corner, and this piece of glass or whatever that lets you be able to see the reflection. So down there is just it's literally glass put at an angle, and we look, and because the glass is at this angle, it's actually showing us something that's over here.
Wow. So there must be a full room underneath
everything that you see as Pepper's Ghost down there is underneath you in real animatronics.
That's crazy. That must be so big.
And next time you're on the ride, think about like the space that you're in and how much room there is, and then you look out and you see the ghost and you realize like, oh, that ghost is like underneath me right now.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's a really interesting effect. So it's an old.
They use it on Tower of Terror, right?
They use it everywhere. They use it on Rise of the Resistance even still. Like it's still a trick that they use all the time.
Is that how they do Ray? How they make Ray appear there?
I think it's projection and that it's like a dual purpose thing. But you know where I know it's a pure Pepper's Ghost is when you're on the transporter with Admiral Beck. He's Pepper's Ghost. So what we think is Beck in a cockpit is Pepper's Ghost, and he's in a different place. That animatronic's in a different place.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. He looks like he's right there.
Well, yeah, but that it's Pepper's ghost. It's doing something else. It's not in there. It's actually in a different spot. It's
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Okay, now, boys, if you just stop carrying on like, we just might dedicate this next song to y'all.
Our next scene is the attic. Here we meet the bride, Constance Hatchaway, who has a storyline of marrying and murdering her husbands. So you pass by 5 different portraits of her and her husband, and every time you pass by it, the husband's head disappears, signifying that she killed them. She cut off their head. We survive Constance Hatchaway. Sean marries her, and then we go into the graveyard. Well, just because of the title.
Oh, okay.
He has to fit it in there.
Yes. Well, now it's an accurate statement.
So we transition into the graveyard. Our doom buggies turn around, and you start to go backwards down a hill into the graveyard. So I've heard a story here where this is supposed to be that Constance has thrown you out of the house. Have you guys heard about this?
This is the first time hearing of so much of the story and lore of this ride.
Yeah, I think that's supposed to be the story, is that Constance is throwing you out of the attic window, and that's why you turn backwards and you're falling. It's like you're falling down from the top of the house. Either way, you enter the graveyard, and now this is where Mark Davis really took over, and this is all silly. This entire room.
Yeah.
It's a huge room. It makes you feel like you're outside. And there's just ghosts hanging out in this graveyard. There's things that are popping up. It's very lighthearted. It's not supposed to be scary. And everyone is singing The Grim Grinning Ghost. Once you leave that room, you pass by the last gag and really the last illusion. You pass by hitchhiking ghosts, and one of them comes into your car, and it's supposed to be that you are taking this ghost home. This ghost is going to follow you home.
All the way home.
Beware of hitchhiking ghosts.
Finally, as you come to the exit, there is a small ghost up above you called Little Leota. And she encouraged you to hurry back, and to bring your death certificate next time you come. You get off your doom buggy and you exit the mansion with the pet cemetery on your left. All right, so that is the whole walkthrough of the Haunted Mansion. What do you guys think?
I feel like I just wrote it.
I feel like I wrote it twice.
Because it took forever.
The ride does not normally take nearly that long. No, unless there's significant ride vehicle delays and stoppages.
Well,
but you mentioned
that does happen.
all the time.
That does happen.
That happens all the time.
So, Sean, you have some information for us from other parks, right? The Haunted Mansions on the other side.
I have some brochures. Yes. Well, we joke about how it's a Disney World podcast, but we started the whole first part of this on another coast in another park, so I think it's fair at this point to look at the haunted mansions that are in the parks around the world. There's 5 total haunted mansions around the world, and we've gone so far over 2 of them. The first one obviously being the original Haunted Mansion in Disneyland. Unique about this one is its look. Most of the looks are a little different in each place, depending on where they are in the park. But of course, the Southern Plantation style home here in New Orleans Square, this was the only one, obviously, that Walt Disney himself actually worked on. So this was the only one that he has really put any fingerprint on. We just went through a whole whole ride through, thanks to Andrew, of the Walt Disney World Haunted Mansion, which we noted was more of a gothic mansion look. That I think we agree. Of the two that we've gone over so far, looks a little spookier. The Endless Staircase room is, like Andrew mentioned, exclusive to this ride. This one is that's not in the Disneyland. It's not in any of the other ones either. It's exclusive, unique to this ride.
Oh,
yeah.
Huh. The Harry Potter room.
Yes, the Harry Potter room, as we're calling it now.
As Yale Gracie called it.
Tokyo Disneyland has a haunted mansion that is basically a shrine to the Magic Kingdom in Florida. The mansion looks a little more like an old castle than it does like a Gothic mansion, but the ride through is virtually the same as the Magic Kingdom attraction, because it was just kind of ported over to be an opening attraction at Tokyo Disneyland,
but without the
endless staircase room. Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, because that actually was in my notes as we were going through Andrew's thing. Was I know that Tokyo Disneyland in general started as, well, let's just do a pure copy of the Magic Kingdom.
Mm-hmm. And much like I don't know if we touched on this last time. I don't know. I don't think we did, but the Disneyland version and the Tokyo Disney Haunted Mansions are similar in that they get a Christmas overlay.
We did not talk about this. So
the Disneyland
Nightmare Before Christmas.
Exactly. Yeah, the Disneyland attraction and the Tokyo Disney get a Christmas time Nightmare Before Christmas overlay that does not come to the Florida parks or any of the other parks. The other two that we're gonna pop into very quickly here.
Can I stop you for just a moment?
All right, the ride vehicle has come to a stop.
So the Endless Staircase room wasn't originally in the original Magic Kingdom version.
Right, it was a new addition.
Okay. So
relatively 2007.
Relatively, 2007 is not recent, but in terms of theme park additions, it's within the last 20 years.
It used to be giant spiders on spider webs.
Oh,
I have a very vague memory of that.
I do have a memory of that. Okay.
I'm now thinking I might have ridden it. I can't. What this is the? I feel
road.
Like I feel like Andrew here. I'm having my word problems. When I was there in as a kid, I'm having memory of that area of the ride. So, the next one is.
Well, wait. I wanted to talk about the Jack Skellington overlay for a second. Do you guys like that? Do you guys want that in Orlando?
No, I just don't love the Nightmare Before Christmas. I just think it's one of those, like, people are weird about it. Like, it's a very culty thing.
But same with Haunted Mansion. It's very
That's true.
That's
the Haunted Mansion has its own brand of fandom and following. Yeah,
they've got weird fans. So does Jack Skellington, right? I'm
definitely for more overlays. Whether we necessarily need that one or not, I'm not like biting at the chomping for it. You know what I mean?
Okay. I mean, I personally,
that's not a saying.
That isn't a saying.
When you say overlays, you mean specifically like a holiday overlay?
Yeah, I think we should have more holiday overlays. I don't think we need to have the Nightmare Before Christmas one.
Yeah.
I tend to agree. But also because from a practical standpoint, Disney World isn't set up to be something that should change a lot or change significantly. Everyone talks about how great the Haunted Mansion is and all that. And then to imagine that you're only going to Disney World maybe once or twice in your life and you go on the Haunted Mansion and it's not what you were promised, it was some other ride,
Right,
would
right.
be crazy.
I think we've definitely spoken about that. Maybe when we did the holiday overlay episode.
Plus the downtime of switching it over. It's 6 weeks of downtime.
The Haunted Mansion closes in Disneyland for 5 or 6 weeks. We're right, as that's arguably that's a top 5 attraction in Magic Kingdom Park, and if it doesn't need to be closed, it shouldn't be. But I think people are more likely to visit Disneyland very frequently, so that if you miss it, you can just it's not a big deal to go back.
It's such a locals forward park that it's fine that it's basically 7 months out of the year it's the Haunted Mansion, a month and a half it's closed, and the rest of the year it's Jack Skellington instead.
I don't like the notion though that it's too good for people to go to Disney and it not being like available. It's old now. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's certainly an older attraction, but I'm not typically someone that's super traditional with rides and stuff and holds things too dearly. But I do kind of understand the logic behind it's just not possible. Maybe it's just that there's not enough rides in Disney World where you can afford to have this be down and different for many months at a time. If there were a Disneyland level of rides in each park, if there were 20-something rides in every park in these 4 parks, yeah, you might not miss it. But that's not the case.
Right.
There's only 20 rides in just that park. All the other parks have a lot less.
Yeah.
So moving ahead to Disneyland Paris is what is called Phantom Manor, which is also located in Frontierland in their park. And the feature here is that this one is considered. I've never been to Disneyland Paris. I don't know if either of you have, but this is considered the scariest version of the ride. This is a much darker, spookier ride, which gives me faith that Disney does actually know how to do scary rides. Because this, like I said, is vastly considered the darker, more grim haunted house, really kind of chilling, real scary ride.
And this one was made by Disney,
right? And this looks the spookiest.
Yeah.
Was
this an original Euro Disney when Euro Disney opened?
I'm not sure. This opened in 1992.
Yeah.
So it opens with Euro Disney April 12th, 1992.
Okay.
So, yeah. I mean, think about some of the rides that they have done. This is also the time of the extraterrestrial alien encounter. You know what I mean? Like, I think Disney's
just before that. This is while they're building Tower of Terror.
Yeah. Yep. Disney's like experimenting with getting scary and having those type of thrills rather than like crazy thrills roller coasters.
Well, they're kind of opening that box, right? They're working their way up to real thrill rides. They started making things scary, and then they're going, okay, this is working well, and then we can up the thrill ante to please. Oh gosh, what was the name of Michael Eisner's son? Michael Eisner's son was like, he would like keep citing why they needed to make real thrill rides. He kept saying like my son thinks Disney's for babies.
Yeah,
but he would. Is his son's name Beck? No.
Let's see, Eric. Oh no, there is a Breck.
Breck.
He's got
yes, Breck. I heard. I thought it was Breck. Breck Eisner.
He's a director.
A Nepo baby.
Classic.
Yeah. I don't recognize any of these movies. They're all scary movies. Wow. They're all horror movies.
He was a thrill seeker.
Yeah.
Calm down, Rover. I was only kidding.
And then the fifth and final, and I believe if we're counting, not expansions or just new additions, the newest in 2013 opening, Mystic Manor at Hong Kong Disneyland, which really isn't a haunted mansion at all. It's not a haunted house. It's not focused on death or the afterlife or ghosts or anything. It's just magic. So it's included in the list because it's the haunted mansion, air quotes, of that park. But it's not a scary ride. It's not spooky. It's like I said, there's no ghosts or anything. It's a magic mansion bringing inanimate objects to life, and it's more more fun and silly rather than having anything to do with being scary.
That's one of the rides I want to do the most in any Disney park. It just seems like
Mystic
so
Manor?
cool. Mystic Manor. Also, that is because ghosts and the afterlife is seen very differently in that culture.
The
right?
culture there. That's one thing it mentioned, is that they kind of had to respect some of their cultural differences and not make ghosts seem like a bad thing or a scary thing, where it's
right, and shoehorning Western culture into this park, because there's already enough Western culture with it being Mickey Mouse and Disney Company and the princesses and stuff.
So it feels authentic to Chinese culture.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are the parks around the world. I think Haunted Mansion. When you think of Disney World or Disney, you think of Haunted Mansion. I think it's one of the things that you think of immediately. Like, you think of the castle, you think of Space Mountain, you think of Haunted Mansion. It's one of the rides that has iterations basically everywhere. I think it's foundational to the idea of a Disney park, especially a castle park. When you open up, there's not a Haunted Mansion in Epcot or in Hollywood Studios, but when you're opening a castle park with a fantasy land and then things like that, I think Haunted Mansion is kind of a foundational piece, or some iteration, some version of it is foundational to the idea of a Magic Kingdom, a Fantasyland theme park.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I tend to agree with that completely. It's really interesting how pivotal it becomes to the experience. And I actually think at the Magic Kingdom specifically, it's one of the only occurrences where, Disney World gets some of the most love. It's one of the more special and unique versions.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times Disney World gets a cut and paste job or a lesser version of these other experiences, something like Pirates
of the Caribbean. Yeah.
I loved Pirates in Walt Disney World until I went to the one in Disneyland. And then you go, wait, that's it? Wait, why did we get that when they have this? It's so much better.
Yeah.
This one, you don't feel that, which is great. And it's such a classic, such a pivotal experience for the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. And I mean, it spawned a movie, at least two, I think 2 movies.
I'm writing scripts right now for my Mark Davis versus Claude Coates movie.
It'll be like Nikola Tesla versus
Edison,
yeah.
Well, yeah, but they were actually competitors.
Yeah.
There's 3 movies. Haunted Mansion in 2003. That's the one I was thinking of with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
And there's a Muppet Haunted Mansion. I didn't know that's from 2021.
I wanted to watch that before
recent.
this.
Yeah, and then there was just last year or a year or 2 ago. There was Rosario Dawson did a Haunted Mansion movie with Danny DeVito and Owen Wilson.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They haven't been too successul.
No, they don't look very good by any means, but it's just the legacy of the Haunted Mansion is that grand that it's what from that park people remember and talk about. I think the most out of any rides that's there. It has the biggest fandom, the biggest cult following. People love the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah. The the pattern, the purple and black
Yep.
pattern that you see on all the merchandise. Yeah, people go crazy over that.
Yeah.
It's funny. There seemed to be like a time in Disney films where they were trying to make movies based off of attractions, or at least based off of the parks. It was after the Pirates were so successful, they tried Tomorrowland. I don't know if you guys
well, they
remember
did
that.
Haunted Mansion first. They went right from, because 2003, Eddie Murphy.
Right.
They're just
And
like
Pirates of the Caribbean was also the same year.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Oh,
were,
really?
Mhm.
Oh, I always figured Pirates came first.
Pirates was 03. Yeah.
They were both
Oh, wow.
03.
Yeah, they
But I
did
think
the
Pirates came out first.
maybe,
Pirates was like a
maybe.
summer movie, and then Haunted Mansion came out in the fall. I think that was like they were probably going to do this with all of their rides. They were going to make a Big Thunder Mountain Railroad.
Yeah, I mean they did the George Clooney Tomorrowland movie.
Yeah.
Was it just called Tomorrowland?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, Tomorrowland.
I mean they just did the Jungle Cruise with the Rock.
Yeah, that was okay.
I didn't see it.
You're not missing anything.
Tron doesn't really count because it was
Tron's IP
brought in. Yeah.
So I think there is a Big Thunder Mountain Railroad movie in the works.
I know that Disney has a thing where they're always looking for stuff based on their rides.
Yeah,
so it may not be actually being made, but they might have bought a script that is that, and whether they're making it or not is who knows.
Yeah.
But they basically, if they have something that doesn't have a movie that's in the parks, you could write a movie about it.
Right.
Spaceship Earth, the movie, is certainly something they would make that.
Living with the Land, the movie.
I'd watch it. I'd watch a Carousel of Progress movie.
This article is from 2022, so it probably didn't end up happening. The movie.
I mean, who knows? Yeah, that is something interesting about Hollywood.
What movie based off of what ride would you go see? Even if like critics said it was absolutely terrible, but you're like, no, I love that ride. I'm going to go see that movie no matter what.
Well, if they do my movie, Mark Davis versus Claude Coates, making of the Haunted Mansion, they do a making of anything into a fictional movie that's about Disney World or Disneyland, I'm going to go see it no matter what the reviews are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other ride would I be like, oh, that's going to be good? I mean, they already made this, and it already wasn't good, and I didn't see it, but I was a kid then. But Tower of Terror.
That was a movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think is that a young ScarJo is in that?
I don't know.
It's like
no, it's Kirsten Dunst. That's
Kirsten
who it is.
Dunst. Wow.
Yeah, Kirsten Dunst is in it. It's in 97. So it's
with
a young
Steve
Kirsten
Guttenberg.
Dunst. Yeah.
All right.
I think a Carousel of Progress would be hilarious, and if it turns out that John Progress is like evil or something like that, and like he that's why he doesn't age.
Don't ruin the ride.
Oh, it would be like you could do it like a Parenthood, where it's like you get like snippets of time of this family as they go through these different ages.
Yeah. But of course you're going through like 100 years.
Wait, is it?
This Is Us, isn't it?
Well, This Is Us too. But I'm thinking of a movie that was nominated for a lot of awards in like the 2010s. And it was they literally took like 20 years to make it because they cast the things, and they would shoot like the kid at 6, and then they'd shoot a bunch when he was 10, and then they shot when he was like 13. And it goes all the way through until he's in college.
I don't know.
That's crazy.
No memory of this. Not Benjamin Button, right?
No. I think it was called Parenthood. I think Patricia Arquette's in it. Boyhood.
Oh, okay. I do know that. Yeah.
Yeah, Boyhood.
I've never seen it, but I okay. Yeah,
Ethan Hawke and Patricia Arquette.
That was an Oscar
Yeah, it's one of those kinds of movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that more because of the way that it was shot, where they took 12 years to make the movie. Like they cast a kid, and he grew up with the movie.
That's crazy.
Right?
That takes dedication too.
That sounds like something James Cameron would do.
Like, what about if after all of that, it gets like nixed?
Well, I think the guy that made this movie is more of an indie guy and was going to fund it himself.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's progress for you.
All right. Well, that seems like that's the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that was Boyhood.
Haunted Mansion, good ride. Good cue.
Yeah.
Good ride.
I actually think back to one of our episodes where we did one of the best cues and putting Haunted Mansion on it. I mean, it's a good cue, but I don't know if it deserves that level.
Some of the spots before you get close to the building, when you're, if it's a 40-minute wait, there's a solid 15 minutes of you're just out in the open.
Yeah, you're just
baking.
standing in the sun. You're not even in the ride's gates yet. You're just
but there is some shade in that spot. But it's still not great.
Phew, boy, hottest 4th of July we've had in years.
So, do you think you guys got time for a little game?
I think we're running a little late. So, Sean, do you want to take us out?
Thanks for listening to another episode of the ReedyGeeks podcast. Like, rate, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Any questions, comments, concerns, future topic ideas, or nicknames, email us at reedygeeks@gmail.com and check us out on our socials at ReedyGeeks. We'll see you next time.
If you should decide to join us, final arrangements may be made at the end of the tour.
This week's Honest Send-Off comes courtesy of the Ghost Host. If you have an honest send-off that you want played at the end of one of our episodes, please submit an audio clip to us via our email address, reedygeeks@gmail.com. Reedy Geeks, a Walt Disney World podcast, is hosted and executive produced by Andrew Shopey, Sean Murphy, and JJ Hefner. Music and audio engineering by JJ Hefner.
Bon voyage!